As traveling across the seas becomes more popular across the United States, Americans are finding themselves in trouble. Have you ever traveled to another country and not known the native language? Um, I have only ever traveled to countries where I thankfully speak the native language. I speak fluent Spanish, but I've traveled to Costa Rica, to Honduras, and Canada, where they speak English. But I could never imagine traveling to a country where I wouldn't be able to conversate with others. So today my presentation will focus on the way Ethiopians communicate by greeting their family, friends, business people, foreign business people, and strangers. Moving on to my third slide, I'm going to begin by looking at how the Ethiopian culture greets with the use of handshakes and kissing as a communication tool between family and friends. Now, Ethiopians have many different customs when it comes to greeting their family and friends, including addressing people by their title, as in their last name. Just like in the United States, how John Smith, for example, we would say Mr. Smith. And then another one of their customs is greetings should never be rushed. I think in America today we have that kind of what would you say? We've been taught to kind of just do a quick little short and sweet greeting like, hey, how you doing? Great, good. And then the conversation's over. In Ethiopia, greetings should be important and somewhat lengthy. So you should really inquire about their health, their job, their family, especially if you are speaking to a friend that you have a close relationship with. And of course, elders should be greeted first. Moving on to my fourth. With these customs in place, we can move on to the types of greetings and gestures between family and friends. And this would include, the most common would be greeting with a handshake and direct eye contact, according to Foreign Affairs, Trade and Development in Canada. In the online travel guide, The West, the article titled Greeting with Meaning in Ethiopia, the Ethiopian handshake is not a minor passing gesture, but just a definite moment spent with a friend, just reconnecting. And I have a picture of two women shaking hands. And in this picture, they are also bowing as well. You can see that right there. It is also customary to kiss one another on the cheek. And so here I have another image of the two friends kissing each other on the cheek there. And on my sixth slide, I have a video just of two Ethiopians greeting one another, and it's a slow motion, and they grab each other's hands and they pat each other on the back. Now on to my seventh slide. Kisses and direct eye contact are the typical ways to greet others that you are close with, but what about the foreign business people that come into the country? Handshakes and body language also play an important role. And the Ethiopian's government and relations with the U.S. and West in general have been centered on military and economic cooperation. So there really hasn't been that much conflict between Ethiopia and the U.S., making it more possible for business to be happening in the country. As foreign trade business begins to expand in Ethiopia, so do the amount of foreigners coming in and out of the country. So when in contact with foreigners, Ethiopians, as a gesture, polite gesture, they will not sit down before their guests. They will make sure their guests are seated before they do as a form of respect. When they part, they shake hands properly, right hand to right hand, 1, 2, or 3 kisses. And I think in America we have way of greeting each other so quickly and then moving on to the rest of our days. I think that if we were to travel to Ethiopia and do that with a native, it would be actually quite rude, a rude gesture. On to my 8th slide here. Greeting business people and foreign business people, the types of greetings would include: Ethiopians tend to be non-confrontational and highly considerate of others, usually during communication. They usually tend to go out of their way to please others, just making sure that they're comfortable. When they're strangers, it is customary for them to bow. So just like I showed in the previous image before, in this case they are friends, but they are somewhat bowing as well. So in this case, you would bow if it was a stranger, just to be polite. After visiting Ethiopia, the latest traveler states, if you're both strangers, you don't actually kiss, you just kind of touch cheeks, just due to that relationship that hasn't been established yet. Alright, and moving on to my last slide here. Greetings are the first form of communication when interacting with others. Each gesture that is made is important in understanding and receiving the message that you're trying to convey. How you present yourself, whether through body language or words, to your family or friends, will show others how close your relationship is. Also, Ethiopians greet their family and friends with kisses and handshakes. The foreign business people with the natives interact, they are treated differently due to the kind of unestablished relationship yet. And their reserved relationship with the foreign business people are due to mainly the factors of language barriers. Not everyone's going to speak that same language. There's usually always a translator in between as well. And just inability to comprehend their culture and practices as well. As we in America have different practices, and it's a whole different culture than Honduras or Costa Rica. And in American culture, we are more open to interacting with others, just to be polite and to socialize. And it's rare to find a culture that is as open as we are taught to be. But therefore, it is interesting to understand how simple and complicated gestures can show just how close your relationship is with another person and how much that person means to you.